What's going on, everyone? So, ever since the Lakers got Christian Wood, he's kind of been the talk of the town. And it makes sense, right? I mean, he's an excellent player, 17-8 guy, a guy that I actually think is going to be pretty solid defensively this coming year. And all season, he's going to be the guy that gets a lot of the shine and a lot of the spotlight at the center position, right? Anthony Davis wants to spend more time at the four, right? You're probably going to see Christian Wood playing the five a lot more, or kind of just like the almost like positionless, like maybe AD's listed as the five, but like Christian Wood is kind of manning the middle, and then you have Anthony Davis in that like kind of scout role, that like free safety role we see him like to play at times and kind of be the help defender. That's probably how this is going to go. Christian Wood and his versatility, you're going to see him at the four, you're going to see him at the five, and he was kind of like the marquee prize, right? He was the guy that was the cherry on top of the sundae, the guy that very likely beyond like Austin Reeves and D'Lo and Rui, Christian Wood could end up having the biggest impact on this Lakers roster. Right? He's a guy that's going to take so much pressure off of LeBron James and Anthony Davis, give us a little insurance, right? Because you know Anthony Davis and LeBron James are both going to miss 20 plus games this year. So if LeBron's out, you can just play him at the four. If AD's out, you can start him at the five. It's a win-win all around for Christian Wood because he gets the minutes and he gets the exposure and he gets the playing time. And then for the Lakers, they get somebody that can kind of fill a bit of the void. You're never replacing Anthony Davis and LeBron James, but for a game or so, you get that guy that can kind of fill the void for the Lakers. That's huge. But the signing before the Christian Wood signing that got a lot of people excited, and I still believe is an exciting acquisition. And since we're going through all the players heading into training camp, Jaxson Hayes. Jaxson Hayes, in my opinion, now with Christian Wood, is going to kind of be more of an afterthought, right? Like, this was the guy that very likely, was going to get heavy minutes at the center position. He was the guy that even a week before Christian Wood signed, there was talks about him starting alongside Anthony Davis because Anthony Davis doesn't want to play the five as much. He doesn't mean that he doesn't want to play at all, but he just doesn't want to spend 90% of the season playing the five. So a lot of conversation, a lot of talks about, hey, Jaxson Hayes, that's why they went and got him. He kind of be their JaVale McGee type player, extremely young, a bit of a project, but does a lot of things good that could be a real impact for the Lakers, right? This is a guy that, as far as box scores go, like if you just look at him on the surface, he's not a guy that's going to jump out the pages at you. Career-wise, he's 8 points, 4 rebounds, and will be nice and rounded up to an assist. And then last season even, 5 points, 3 rebounds, and an assist. But he also only played 13 minutes last year. The season that he played the most minutes, which was the 2021-2022 season, and he only played 20 minutes. He only got 5, we'll round it up to 6 shot attempts per game, shot 61.6% from there. 3-point range that year, he was actually 35%, but he didn't even take 1 attempt per game. It's 0.8 per game, but he's 66% from 2-point range, EFG of 64%, and he averaged 9 points, 4.5 rebounds, assist, a steal, and a block, basically, right? Again, rounding up some of those things slightly, but nonetheless, you get the point, right? Very raw, but a floor running big, a guy that can play both sides of the basketball, and a guy that is actually a very good pick and roll defensive big man. He's actually very good. He's one of the better big men in that role and in that position. He's a guy that you'd imagine should provide the Lakers a high motor, high engine, just kind of get after it. He's a guy that has a lot to prove, that wants opportunity, and he went from very likely getting that opportunity to probably not so much. Now, I don't think that he's not going to play at all. I do think he still probably gets around 15 minutes a game, right? Because Anthony Davis, my guess, and again, this is just a guess, I don't know for sure, but my guess is that Anthony Davis probably starts at the 5 and probably closes at the 5, right? Unless like Christian Wood or Hayes or something like that is just like killing it that game, then maybe they put AD at the 4. But I think more times than not, you get AD at the 5 to start, 5 minutes, last 5 minutes, AD closes at the 5. He spends 10 minutes a game at the 5 spot, and then he plays, the rest of his 30 minutes or 32 minutes, whatever. So let's call it 25 minutes at the 4 spot, right? So I don't think he's going to play 35 minutes, but just in case, right? So my guess is Christian Wood probably plays around 20 to 25 minutes or so. Let's round it up to 25 minutes. And let's say he spends 5 of those minutes at the 4, right? Maybe more, maybe less, but let's just say that. So he spends 20 minutes at the 5 spot. AD spends 10 minutes at the 5 spot. So that gives you 30 minutes at the 5. That would give Jaxson Hayes 18 minutes, theoretically, at the 5 spot that he could still play. I don't think he'll play that much because I think, give or take Anthony Davis, there's not a ball stoppage or whatever. He plays an extra 2 minutes or whatever, or game's tight with 7 minutes left, so AD plays it. So let's call Jaxson Hayes. I could see him maybe playing 15 minutes a game at the center spot. Again, I do. Problem is come playoff time is where I think he falls out of the rotation, right? Or if he does play, it'll be even more limited, which is, again, a bummer because he's a guy that I was really excited to kind of see how he performs, and I still am. Again, I don't think he's not going to play. I don't think he's going to be just the guy that sits on the bench and gets DMPs every game, and he's going to have opportunity. Again, LeBron James probably going to miss 20-plus minutes a game, and Anthony Davis, or 20 games plus, and Anthony Davis is probably going to miss 20 games plus, and that'll give Jaxson Hayes an opportunity. He may even start some games, right? There's going to be opportunity for Jaxson Hayes. And on a bright side, it may give the Lakers an opportunity to re-sign him, because if he was great, then chances are we were probably going to lose him because he's a 23-year-old center with upside, right? He's a 23, he's a legit, 7-footer that's actually pretty good in the post. Like, he's a guy that you could dump the ball down to, and he shoots like 71% on that little like floater hook shot that he likes to do. Gives you an athletic big that you can put in the dunker spot, draw plays, and then just dump it off to him, catch the ball, finish strong. Gives you a floor running big. He gives you different looks that Christian Wood and Anthony Davis doesn't give you. So I do think that there's still a lot of value in Jaxson Hayes. And I do think that he is going to get some opportunity. But my concern is that he becomes discouraged because he fell out of favor with the Pelicans and had a hard time seeing the floor behind Valanciunas, which Valanciunas is a more veteran guy. He's a guy that, is just better, more versatile at this time. And the Pelicans were trying to win. They were trying to be successful, especially last year. They were the number 1 team in the league at one point, right? And looking really good until all the injuries. So that made sense to me. But the same thing with the Lakers, right? So he goes to the Lakers thinking he's going to be the, basically number 1 guy behind Anthony Davis, or maybe even potentially starts. And now he's going to be the number 2 guy, potentially the 3rd guy, and go from maybe getting 25 minutes a game at the center position to like maybe 10 minutes a game at the center position. I just hope it doesn't discourage the young man and make him maybe not work as hard. Right? I want to see him compete. I want to see him. And I have faith that Darvin Ham, because Darvin Ham likes competition. Darvin Ham's going to want to kind of, he's got the gift of gab, right? He can make you believe anything, right? He can make you believe you have wings and can fly, right? Like, and I love that about Darvin Ham. And Jaxson Hayes is a guy that's going to need that, right? He's going to need LeBron and AD and Hayes, and Darvin Ham speaking to Hayes in his ear, like, look, you're the future, man. You're 23, you're young. We're trying to win an NBA championship. You gotta buy in, you gotta lock in, you gotta stay focused. We brought you here because we need you. We brought you here because you're gonna be a huge piece and a huge factor this year for us on a multitude of ways, right? Like, you could even show them like JaVale McGee and Dwight Howard 2020 year. There were nights where they got DMPs. There were nights where they got 10 minutes. There were nights that they got 30 minutes. There were nights where they started. There were nights where they didn't, right? You got to buy into the bigger mission here. You gotta work on your game. This is an opportunity to give you some shine, give you some spotlight, have some success, be on a winning team in a winning environment with a good culture, good organization, right? Like, I hope that they really get him to buy in. Because, I mean, put yourself in his shoes. It would be a little discouraging, right? Like, you were supposed to be the franchise center for a team. They drafted you. What was he, like the 8th pick or whatever, right? He was the guy that, you thought was going to be the future. They go and they basically replace you with the veteran guy. Okay, fine. Go to Lakers. I get the opportunity now. I'm the number one big man behind AD. Maybe even start alongside AD. Oh, AD doesn't want to play the center position. Let's go. It's me. Let's get it. And then it's like, oh, Lakers just signed Christian Wood. There it goes. And again, I still believe Jaxson Hayes gets 15 plus minutes a game on average, right? Again, some games he might get more, some games he might get less, but I do think he'll still get around 15 minutes a game, which is probably best, right? Like, because he is very raw, he is very young, he's going to have his mistakes, he's going to have his good games, he's going to have his bad games, he's going to have games where, it looks like he's the guy that should start, and then there's going to be games where it's like, this guy shouldn't even play, right? You're going to have that. I mean, you had those games with the Pelicans, but Jaxson Hayes is young enough to have been drafted in this year's draft, literally. Like, he has a lot of potential, a lot of upside, a lot of growth, and hopefully he's a piece. I genuinely hope that he's a piece that's not just a one-year rental. I hope this is a guy that's willing to stay here long-term, willing to grow and develop. Him and Colin Castleton could be a great backcourt or front court and backups or starting roles or whatever for the foreseeable future. That would be really nice to kind of have those two guys. Because Jaxson Hayes has the potential to be a legit two-way center in this league, runs the floor well. Again, like I said, great pick-and-roll defensive guy. And I actually do believe Jaxson Hayes is going to have an impact. I don't think he's going to have the impact he was going to have pre-Christian Wood signing, but I definitely think he has an impact. I definitely think he's a guy that can really help, slightly, I don't want to say move the needle, but nudge it a little bit for the Lakers, like I do. I think that this is just a genuinely great quality signing that can only help and benefit the Lakers. Very low risk, very high reward. And he's a guy that has the upside to really reward the Lakers. But anyway, as always, this is a discussion, so I pass the question on you. Let me know your thoughts and opinions down in the comments below. What do you think? How do you feel about Jaxson Hayes? Do you think he'll have an impact? Do you think he won't? What do you think his minutes will look like? How do you feel? Whatever your thoughts are, I'd love to hear it. Let me know down in the comments.